Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel, where today this video finds you a little later than it should do. So, sadly, I believe it was on Tuesday of this week, the legend Ozzy Osbourne passed away, and as a big fan of Black Sabbath and Ozzy's solo work, I decided to take an extra day just to process it, because it did kind of frazzle my brain a little bit, I'm not going to lie. Man is an icon to many, an inspiration to most people within the music industry, and without him and Black Sabbath, a lot of the bands that we know and love today wouldn't be where they are. So, with that being said, this is just a nice little RIP to the legend Ozzy Osbourne before we get into today's video, which is an album review. So this is a longer one, and it did take me a while. So today we are looking at the band Dead Awake and their deluxe album Insurrectionist. So Dead Awake was formed in late 2017 by members Michael Camper, guitars and vocals. I believe the name is Pato Kuhn, K-U-H-N, Kuhn? I'm not sure how you say it. On drums, Anthony Schlickman on bass, and Morgan Earp on guitars, with Dylan James Hare on vocals. This album is 18 songs long and runs for 51 minutes. Shit. Fuck. So, technically Insurrectionist was an EP, and the deluxe edition is the original EP, some of the demos from the EP, and then new songs added to that. So we start with track 1, the Prelude, which is 1 minute and 31 seconds. We start with weird heavy breathing and a film reel clicking before the guitars, drums and vocals kick in. It's short, sweet, solid opener. Not much to say about it, honestly. Track 2 is The Pale Horse, featuring Tyler Shelton of Traitors. This is just shy of 3 minutes long. We start with a a cappella blech, with laughter following suit. Then the song starts. Guitars wail, drums start pounding, the vocals... What the fuck is my hair doing? The vocals are pretty darn solid. Again, we get a second filthy blech take. The feature of Tyler was used pretty well in my opinion, and other than that, wasn't too much to say. Track 3 we move on to is Kingslayer, featuring David John Simonich III, who now is of Signs of the Swarm. I don't know what band he was in before that, because this was back in 2018 I believe this was released. So we start with a sound bite of something before doomy guitars and a brutal pig squeal come in. Vocals are crisp and clear in tone. We see lyrics like, "Hold on hope that your demise is imminent. We rejoice at the thought of wolves at your gate, dismembered by the ones that you exploit and betray. I cannot think of a more fitting fate." Definitely sounds like a song of rebellion, a song of like people turning on their leader almost. There's these thick, sludgy, brutal vocals that sound just grim and gnarly over this down-tempo drum beat and the guitars, and it's just a banger. It's one of the solid tracks on the album. From there we move into The Gallows, which is just shy of 2 minutes. This sounds a little less polished on vocal tones in sections, but it's still a good song. The drums are killer, the guitars are just super solid honestly throughout, but it's over very quickly, as the last 40 seconds are just this ambient sounds with like bells tolling, and it's just a little bit kind of unnecessary. Like, you've got a very short song and only like roughly a minute and 5 seconds of that minute 55 are actual song. 40 seconds of it is just ambient nonsense. Maybe even be like 50 seconds of it. But yeah. Moving on to track 5, we have Ultra Vitam featuring Kyle Anderson of Brand of Sacrifice. This song is about 3 minutes and 20 seconds long. So we get these stereotypical metalcore guitars with a trappy beat behind them almost. We get a blech fuck hybrid. The guitars keep going, the cymbals are very clear, very audible. Drums stand out too. The vocal layering seems very chaotic and very weirdly mixed, with vocals and unhinged shouting, and then there's like this thick, gnarly breakdown with disgustingly good guitar work throughout. Lyrically, it's a short track as the breakdown gives way to a piano outro using the last half of the song for this like solemn piano. But again, it's a very good track. I can't say too much negative about it other than the vocal mix was fairly chaotic. So from there we move on to track 6, Snake in the Grass featuring Frankie Palmieri of Emil. This is 3 minutes and 38 seconds long. So we get a slow build here before things crash into action with the line, "Evaluate your self-worth, I can't be pushed around. It's time now to take your bow and put an end to your ego trip," which is a ripping opener. It keeps that sort of aggression and animosity throughout, and really it's a solid track with more lyrics looking at, you know, basically taking somebody whose ego is up here and just fucking bringing them down and standing up for yourself. So yeah. Now we move on to tracks 7, 8, 9 and 10, which I've kind of just done as one lump thing because they are demos of songs that I've just previously talked about. So, track 7, I haven't listed what demos they are because it's most of the songs that we've just gone through. Not much difference, just sounds more raw tonally for that one. Track 8, I've said, again, it's very similar, not too different to the original, just a little bit unpolished, but a very good demo. For track 9, I wrote, very, very solid demo, almost exactly the same as the original song. And for track 10, I wrote, this may actually be better and turned out more polished than the finished version, in my opinion. So, yeah. For that though, I can easily find what songs I am on about. Because, like I said, track 10 really did impress me more so than anything. Yes, so, okay, track 7 is the Prelude demo, track 8 is the Ultra Vitam demo featuring Kyle Anderson, track 9 was the Gallows demo, and track 10 was the Pale Horse demo. So Pale Horse demo I thought was better than the Pale Horse finished product. And that's just my opinion, other people may not agree, but I did think that was a case for that. So yeah, moving on now, we go to track 11. This starts the newer songs that were put onto this EP deluxe album thing. So we start off with Metanoia. We'll go with that. This is just shy of 4 minutes long. It's one of the longer songs on this entire endeavour. A slow build into the song, which then picks up with fast-paced drums, great guitar work. They have some sick sounds that they do with the guitars. Vocals aren't bad, but they're pretty solid. They use several different techniques, including some unhinged, like really visceral screams, and then we kind of get more piano work. So yeah. Track 12 is called Relapse Repeat. This is just shy of a minute and a half. Very short track here with sad sounding guitars at first, then drums, cymbals all kick in. Very solid instrumental interlude sort of track. Track 13 is called If God is an Astronaut, Then the Devil is a Deep Sea Diver. This is just shy of 4 minutes. We start with gnarly guitars and badass drum work behind the vocals, where a plethora of styles, including some clean singing actually, for the first time on the album, is utilised. Lyrically, it's not a bad kind of track, talking about the planet and how we should create, sustain and rebuild and remind us of who we used to be, and talking about basically trying to fix what we've fucked up. Moving on from track 13, we have track 14, Untitled, featuring JT Cavey of Era and Davide Arodi, who I looked up, and the only thing I could find about him was that he was a producer, so I don't know if he's an actual musician or if he produced the song or what, because Google was not helpful. This is about 3.5 minutes. Another fairly quick start, then the vocals kick in. This has way more clean techniques utilised and clean singing on Showcase, which I'm assuming most of it probably came from the guy from Eras. So that's like the first maybe minute and a minute and a half of the song, and then the heavier vocals come in, they bring the cleans back for the chorus, and then they kind of like go back and forth. We fade into some slow guitar work before it comes back into these thick, chunky vocals over the top for like a breakdown before the song ends. A very, very solid track. Moving on then, we go to track 15 called Decide, featuring The Gloom in the Corner. This is about 3.5 minutes. Get some distorted, murky, muddy vocals to start. Kind of strained sounding, it's a little bit weird. Then they change and they sound better. The drum work really is ridiculously good here. We get a crisp blach. The feature is the only real downside to this, because it comes in right at the end, like the last maybe 30 to 45 seconds. So I would have liked more for the Gloom in the Corner feature, especially seeing as the Gloom in the Corner are a very good band in and of themselves, so just giving them a little bit more time to obviously showcase themselves alongside you, like you did for some of the other features on the track, would have been really good. Track 16 is called Forgiveness and is just shy of 3 minutes long. And immediately we jump in. Drums are really good, the vocals sound super good here too, and the guitar work is really, really solid. It's lyrically a very solid track as well, with lines like, and all these therapy sessions just made me feel like I was fucked up. It's been the same routine since I was a teen, as well as the lines, and I didn't know how to stop them until I woke the fuck up and killed this disease. As well as the lines, I'm not a slave to the thoughts of the past, the whole inside of me was vast, but I am free at last, which all paints a very vulnerable, emotional picture of someone bearing their soul in their music. And I always love it when artists get vulnerable with their music like this. It kind of helps the listeners who might be going through the same thing and are afraid to do what the artist has done by reaching out for help, to have that little spark of hope lit within them, that things can get better, that you can turn shit around. So it's always nice to see a song like this on an album where you don't expect it. Moving on from there, we have track 17, The End, which is 2.5 minutes exactly. Fast, chaotic open to the track, but it sounds super solid. The drums stand out under the vocals that kind of jumped rhythmically over the instrumentation, and lyrically the end is fitting, as it's a song about, again, fighting your demons, wanting to end it all, and then ultimately deciding not to because you actually have stuff to live for and people would miss you if you do go. So yeah, again, very fitting to put that after the song that we just spoke about as well. They kind of like go hand in hand, and I think it's a very good placement. And then this leads us to the final track. Track 18, The Pale Horse 2.0. This is the third iteration of it on the album. This features the artist Still Bloom instead. For the most part, the song sounds very, very similar to me. Just some slight differences, and obviously the biggest difference of them all is the feature being different. But overall, it's still an extremely solid song, and I thought it was good. Although, I don't know if it's as good as the original or the demo version that I spoke about earlier. But with that being said, final thoughts. It's a decent album overall. I really enjoyed it. My biggest negative was the fact that there's 18 songs to get through, and I think the demos probably could have been stripped away and it still would have worked well. Like, having 4 demos of the songs we've just listened to, whilst also having a 2.0 version of one of them, so there's 3 versions of the same song on the same album, is a little bit much. But I don't see that too much as a negative, more just me being nitpicky. But with everything in the scope of things, the musicianship, the lyricism, the features, the slight things I picked up on, like things sounding weird, like in the mix or whatever, I would give this album a solid 7 out of 10. It's good, but it's not fantastic. Obviously, this, I believe, was kind of like their first EP polished up and added to, so it's obviously not expected to be like their magnum opus, but for a band that, you know, wanted to showcase what they could do, it was a really good, solid album. With that being said as well, what are my top tracks for if you want to see if this album might be your cup of tea? I will start with number 1, The End. Number 2, Untitled. 3 is Forgiveness. 4 is Kingslayer featuring David Simonich. And 5, Ultra Vitam featuring Kyle Anderson of Brand of Sacrifice. Yes, so with that being said, that is the end of that album review. And I will see you in the next video, which is going to be a discussion piece where I talk about the up-and-coming band, the mystery band, President, from their debut singles so far. We've had 3, to the announcement of their album, the presentation, the packaging, the festival performance, which I managed to watch thanks to somebody streaming it live on TikTok. That was nice. I managed to actually not miss out on something cool. Yes, so that will be the next video. So I will see you guys soon, and remember, stay safe out there, my friends, okay?